You know, it just occurred to me today that I have not addressed the attempted assassination of Robert Fico, which I think is one of the most significant events of 2024 so far, because it shows just exactly the kind of person who is under threat in our current political paradigm. What gets you shot in the West as a political leader is not doing things like abducting children from their parents so that you can impose upon that child a sex change surgery. The governor of Idaho, I believe, did that, and nobody attempted to assassinate him. You can permit a literal invasion of millions of people across your border, as Joe Biden did, and nobody's going to try and assassinate you over that, because the people who are worried about protecting children and stopping mass waves of illegal immigration destabilizing our country, those are rational people, those are reasonable people. They're not the kinds of people who go around murdering politicians. The people who worry about those issues are calm and well-adjusted. Likewise, the mayor of Warsaw, I heard, he's banning the public display of Christian crosses because he is anti-religion. He's a bigot who wants to discriminate against Christians. And so in his city, you'll not be allowed to display a crucifix if you're on public property. You literally have to remove, if you wear a cross around your neck, because you think that offers you some level of, let's say, spiritual protection from evil, wards off evil, they will not let you into the building because they're evil. I mean, you can't make this crap up. But nobody's going to assassinate the mayor of Warsaw because Christians are peaceful people. So, who was Robert Fico? And why was there an attempt on his life? Why was he shot, I heard, up to 5 times? Why is he now clinging to life in a hospital bed? Robert Fico didn't ban crucifixes in public buildings. Robert Fico didn't allow his country to be overrun by illegal invaders. Robert Fico never, to my knowledge, not even once, kidnapped a child from their parents' home in order to butcher that child and chop off parts of its body. He never did that, believe it or not. Yet someone still decided to assassinate him. Well, it turns out Robert Fico's crimes are far more severe. He did things much worse. His crime was violating the most fundamental bedrock Western orthodoxies. He went against the wishes of the CIA. He went against the wishes of the Catholic Church, or I should say specifically this Pope. He had the gall to disagree with the elites in Brussels rather than taking orders from them on how to run his country. He charted his own path. He has his own opinions. He thinks that what Brussels wants is not necessarily what's best for Slovakia. He refuses to send more money to Ukraine. And perhaps worst of all, he called the Wu flu pandemic a scam, which only served to line the pockets of pharmaceutical companies. He called the vaccines a boondoggle. That's not something you do in the West if you value your life. And so, as it stands, Robert Fico's only friend in Europe is Viktor Orban, who's someone who's walked around with a target on his back for a very long time. Viktor Orban has learned to survive as a dissident in Europe. But Robert Fico, he's a fairly recently elected person. And so He's naturally more vulnerable than someone who is entrenched, like Orban. I think if Orban were to be assassinated, I'm not so sure that the people of Hungary would respond positively to that and go, oh well, gee, this Orban guy was assassinated. Let's elect someone who's the polar opposite. Um, they might go in the wrong direction as far as the European Union is concerned. They might say, you know what, you murder our leader because he had some minor disagreements with you. We're just going to get out of the EU entirely. But Slovakia, they're pretty early in this transition, as far as this is a recent thing. Their rebellion, they're very, and I say that in the mildest of terms, their rebellion against Brussels. They merely elected a leader who's got some differences with the way people in Brussels want to run his country. And so, a pro-EU, pro-Ukraine, pro-CIA radical tried to murder him. The man who tried to murder him was a political pundit. He was a blogger. His opinions in lockstep with the average Biden voter. People always tell us about the radicals that we have to watch out for. Oh, the radical, pro-Palestine college students. Oh, the radical Trump supporters. Oh, the radical Bernie Sanders voters. You know, they're so radical that they want their their debts discharged in bankruptcy. Oh, so radical. No, the real radicals are the mentally deficient folks who stand with Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, who stand with Olaf Scholz and Emmanuel Macron, who stand with Zelensky. Because after all, these people are responsible for real violence. Although, wait, I must add an addendum. Even I, and this is terrible because the media tried so hard to erase this from the historical record, even I forgot for a minute that there actually was a Bernie Sanders supporter who attempted to murder a bunch of Republican congressmen and senators, the entirety of the Republican congressional baseball team. Luckily, no one was fatally wounded. The worst, the one who was injured the worst was Steve Scalise, who, if anything, you would think, gee, being shot by, a member of the opposition, maybe that would radicalize you in your own views. If anything, Steve Scalise got even more milquetoast and moderate after he was shot, but that's neither here nor there. But if you look at the writings before they were scrubbed from social media, because this is what the media does, both social and traditional, they scrub all the information about these shooters, unlike what the Slovakian government is doing, trying to expose who this guy was, which I applaud them for that. The congressional baseball shooter had pretty much the same motives as the Fico assassin. The congressional baseball shooter bought into all this nonsense about how, Trump and the Republicans are going to destroy our democracy, and we're just, we're about 2 weeks from fascism. And so he thought by murdering politicians who he disagreed with, he could restore our democracy. Because after all, the definition of democracy is when the people I like win. When the people I don't like win, well, you see, that's no longer a democracy. And that fundamental view is not what makes him crazy. What makes him crazy is how he expressed that view. Because at that point, once he's out there murdering Republicans, the media could no longer defend him. Even though they agreed with what he was saying. The same is true here of Robert Fico's attempted killer. The media and the Western elites believe wholeheartedly what this man did, that Robert Fico is a threat to civilization, a threat which must be eliminated. They just won't say outright that Robert Fico should be murdered, because that would expose them for the tyrants that they are. And even they still have some idea in the back of their head that they're supposed to act like they value this idea of democracy. So they're at the stage where they're saying, well, no, we shouldn't murder our opponents. We should just send them to life in prison. That's kind of where they're at now. They're like, but we shouldn't just shoot them in the streets. No, they have some idea in their head that, like, they realize, no, that's going too far. That's not orderly and democratic. No, what's democratic is throwing our opponents in prison so that they can't run against us. So we're one step away from that. Now, a lot of people in America, they believe that Donald Trump, he's going down. He's going to prison because he's clearly a criminal. Whatever. I don't know what the Stormy Daniels trial is about, but I know that a lot of people, Democrats, are following that. They're very excited, and they can't wait for Trump to be sentenced to prison. After all, Trump's facing like 3 different criminal trials. He should lose all of them. He should be stacked like 3 life sentences. But there's a potential that Trump gets off in the case of all 3 of these trials. In which case, how would you feel if you were one of these people expecting Trump to spend to die in prison? Because he's going to spend the rest of his life there. He's so old, if he gets sentenced to prison, he's going to end up dying there. That's what Democrats want. That's what Democrats expect. That's what they demand. That's what the media has primed them to expect. So what happens when they don't get that? What happens when, God forbid, Trump, either the charges are dropped, or he somehow gets acquitted, or there's some kind of technicality, that would be the worst case scenario, which allows him to escape prison time in all of these trials? How do you think these people are going to feel? They're going to feel like the system was rigged in Trump's favor. They're going to feel like our justice system doesn't work, because our justice system, if it was just, it would have gotten Trump, because Trump is the most guilty man in America. Guilty of what? Who knows? He's guilty of something. And it'll be at that point to where there will be the most risk that someone will feel compelled to act. After all, Trump supporters, they're probably feeling pretty good right now for a long time now. The polls, the magical polls. Media loves polls. The polls have been saying that Trump's winning, that he's going to get 312 electoral votes. That's what the polls show. And so, if Trump gets off on all these charges, and that clears a path for him to actually stand in the election, well, golly, how do they expect to stop him? Joe Biden, we're told by the polls, can't stop Trump, won't stop Trump. Joe Biden is losing. This is what we're told. This is what they believe. And so if Biden can't stop Trump, someone else just might. And obviously, I'm saying this as a warning. I'm not advocating for this. But I think this is going through people's heads. The thing is about people who listen to authority figures, who get their views from the elite class, who don't have any opinions of their own. The thing is about those people is that they feel extremely confident in their positions because they trust in those authority figures. They truly believe that folks like Hillary Clinton and I had to think of her name, Ursula von der Leyen, just as an example, trying to think of a closest like European equivalent of like the Hillary mindset. Emmanuel Macron, if you want a male equivalent. Their followers truly believe that they are better than us, that they know better, and that, politics is something that is beyond the scope of, the common man's mind. Common people really shouldn't be given power. That's dangerous. When common people have power, that's fascism. And so we have to trust the likes of the CIA and the Pentagon and the European Commission, as well as, what's the name of that, of the Ukrainian intelligence agency? It's not the SBU, right? SBU is Russian. Anyway, doesn't matter. You could call it Mossad if you want. So anyway, it's just some of what's been going through my head this week. I wanted to get that off my chest. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you folks back here in the next one.